Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of ChaiNet, where we learn from builders before the machines take over. I'm your host, Rachit Magan, and our today's guest did something which every engineer in the world dreams of and then walked away from it. Anmol Sood went from a Meta intern to a staff engineer in just 5 years. He worked on Instagram threads when it hit 100 million users in 5 days. It was the fastest growing app in history. And 6 months after that, he quit. And this was not to chase the next billion users. He left to build a presentation tool. Sounds strange, but when I started speaking to him, he explained that he left because he spent 5 years at Meta watching brilliant engineers lose product reviews to people who were just better at making slides. The best ideas were not winning, the best PowerPoint skills were actually winning. And that's where um, we would like to invite Anmol today. Hello, Anmol. A very warm welcome to ChaiNet.
Hey, Rasha, thank you so much for having me.
Amazing. Would you introduce yourself a bit to the audience?
Yeah, I'm Anmol. I'm the founder of Alai, where we help people make presentations with AI. We've been doing this for 2 years now. Before that, I spent 5 years at Meta, as you mentioned, Rachel. And then, yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm based in New York right now. Grew up in India, went to IIT Delhi, and then moved to the US in about 2018.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for the introduction. Let's talk a bit about your life at Meta, right? How you actually um, built threads and you worked with threads, which as I said, it hit 100 million users in 5 days. That sounds like a celebration on the outside, but I'm sure we've had less than a couple of 100,000 users on our application, and everything starts burning,
Yeah.
right? During those 5 days, when was the first time you realized that okay, this is not normal growth and this is crazy, and something's about to break?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I just joined the team right around then, so I was pretty new to that product. Um, and yeah, like very often when you launch things, they often end up doing okay or like worse than you expect. Very rarely in your career do you launch something and then you expect it to do like 10, like probably 100x better than what you think it would do. So yeah, it's pretty crazy all around. Yeah, lots of people working very, very hard, like not taking weekends off and just trying to get things together because it was so unexpected. I think like the only reason why it survived was it was built on a very strong foundation. It was built by like teams which were working on Instagram for a long period of time, and then Instagram had that kind of scale already.
Right.
So it just ended up being lucky. Where if it was any other company or like any other place where you do not have the backing of something like Instagram, which can handle that kind of scale, that might have just died down and like might not have been able to handle that kind of a release. But yeah, like personally working on it was like super rewarding. Like very rarely do you see a product and you get to work on a product that people give so much immediate love to. So it was incredible.
Absolutely. I think Threads, when it launched, I think I was amongst the first
Yeah.
100 million users in the first 5 days because there was a lot of excitement, and everyone thought that it's going to kill Twitter. I don't think it was called X back then. But there was it grew like really fast, but then very soon Thread lost almost 80% of its users right after that initial spike. You were inside the trenches, you were building threads. What actually went wrong that caused people to leave?
Yeah, I think a lot of things. First, it wasn't planned to ever grow that big that quickly. And as a result, we had not planned for a lot of things. So one big thing, which I was personally working on, was like performance. It took like about 5 seconds or 6 seconds to open threads. Like when you would open the Threads app on your phone, it would take 6 seconds. Twitter opens in like a second or like somewhere around that. And then
Right.
uh, like after the initial excitement settled down, people started seeing that okay, this wasn't a very polished product. Like while it was exciting, this wasn't necessarily like completely out there. There was a lot of work required, and honestly, like the team was aware of it. The team knew that this is just a starting point, just something on top of which we could build. So even when like we lost most of our users, the morale did not went down because we were just like excited about what else can we do, like what else can we build on top of this, in order to not just like copy Twitter, but build a better version of Twitter, build better algorithms, build more innovative features. Because yeah, whenever there's
Right.
competition, you have to innovate. So we knew like okay, we could just not rest on the laurels of having had a very successful launch. We'll have to innovate, and honestly, the team has done like very well since then. Like they have like innovated a lot and like now managed to like regain a lot of those users back.
Yeah, I think a couple of weeks back I joined again. I don't know why,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think everyone's now joining back, and
yeah,
now yeah, it's becoming one more place where you can share things. So it's very interesting. So um, if you think of it, it was never designed to scale up so quickly so fast, right? And that's
Yeah,
that's where things went wrong from the outside. But I think from the inside, it was more like it was planned and it was still expected that okay, this is gonna happen because it's once we feel that in startups we break things very fast and it's okay.
yeah,
But I think even companies like Meta are still doing it, right? They're
yeah.
still following the move fast, break things philosophy. Interesting to know that. So a bit more about your journey. So you got promoted to staff engineer while during Threads, as you said. You joined the team, scaled the application like crazy, and then you left 6 months later.
Yeah.
Is there some relation between the two? Did working on something at that scale change how you thought about problems which were worth solving for?
Um, yeah, as in, I think there wasn't necessarily a link between the promotion and
Mm-hmm.
me leaving Meta. More than that, I had spent 5 years at Meta. So even though like as exciting as Threads was, everything was started to feel the same. It started to feel like, okay, I've done something similar to this in some other team before. There wasn't as new, it wasn't as new a challenge anymore. And I knew that, okay, even if I left, the team is in great hands, like great people working on Threads. They're going to still make it a big product like they have. So I was getting a lot more attracted to other problems out there
Hmm.
which are probably not getting solved, which are not necessarily like as lucky to get like not just one but many successful products like Twitter or Threads like in that space. So I was like, okay, the world is full
Right.
of problems. It's the perfect time to start solving those problems now that there is AI and there's a lot more one can do. So I was just very fascinated to see like what else is out there. What are other problems that I can solve without having like such a large company like Meta behind me. So that was the main reason for me to leave, and it was a feeling which it doesn't come in just one day. It's a feeling which like develops over many months, like sometimes years. It's always deep down there, but over time there are like definitely certain trigger points where you're like, okay, now is definitely the time to leave. And then it just happened to be that like right when Threads was getting taking off and like had become so successful, I knew that okay, it was my time. It was my time to go out there and do something new.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's interesting. And you also you grew really fast. Like in 5 years, be it any company, like Meta is a different story altogether. But be it in any company, in any role, going from an
Yeah,
intern to a staff engineer in 5 years is like really fast. Um, So, for someone who's today sitting at a senior engineer or an intern role,
yeah,
what is the path to become a staff engineer?
yeah. Um, the first thing to like which had a lot of impact on me, it's this very short essay by Derek Silvers. It's called "There is no speed limit." Um, Basically, the point which that article makes is that there is no speed limit in your life in terms of how quickly you can grow. Like it's very different to like everything else in your life so far when you're starting your career. Like in school or like in college, there is like a speed limit that okay, obviously some people skip grades and all of that, but most of us we go through like 12 years of like school and then like 4 or 5 years of college. There is like a speed limit at how quickly can you learn, how quickly can you graduate. As soon as you like enter your career, there is no speed limit, and like the first thing is to just internalize that the world might try to impose that those speed limits on you, but you don't have to. You can grow as quickly
Interesting.
as you really want
Right.
to. And then a lot of those like early years were like very different, as in like I remember like very often I would still have fun. I would still go out on Friday nights with friends, but then I'll come back and I'll want to watch like tech talks on YouTube and like still want like instead of Netflix, I love binging on those tech talks and like learning what else is out there, learning new technologies. So there was just this natural like curiosity and like just love for like, okay, what else is out there? How can I become a better engineer every day? That like really pushed me. And I don't think like, yeah, there isn't necessarily like a set of tactics which people can follow. I think the only two things are like one is deep realization that you can go grow quickly. There is no speed limit. And then secondly is being like finding your area, like what is it that is driving you? And for me, it was just about like learning as quickly as possible. How can I solve bigger challenges? Instead of like waiting 10 years to solve those bigger challenges, I wanted to solve those big challenges right then. And as I started solving more of them, like my managers recognized that, the teams that I was working on recognized that okay, I'm ready for bigger challenges, and then promotions just came by. Yeah, I
Amazing.
wasn't necessarily trying to optimize for those promotions, just trying to optimize for
It
how much I could
happened.
learn. Yeah,
Amazing. So for someone who's in there in a software development role, trying to scale up, then firstly they need to understand that okay, there is no speed limit, as you said,
yeah,
and the practical part of it is that keep learning, right? Keep learning, keep growing, and don't optimize for a promotion because I don't think that works. As you also proved that, and you also said that that does not work. You have to optimize for your skills, for your learning, and I
yeah,
think the best way today is like information is so readily available. The best way is just go watch a YouTube video, see what's going on.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And it's like
right,
it's just getting easier and easier to learn, right? As in like 4 years ago when I was trying to like grow up as an engineer, like yeah, watching YouTube videos and tech talks and all of those things are the best
right,
like ways. Now you can just ask ChatGPT. You can just
of course,
like it's getting even easier to learn. So it's possible to move even faster. Like it took me like probably 3 4 years to get to that point. I think people can now get there even quicker. So there is like you can go much
right.
faster now.
That's actually a very interesting, point which you raised, and I have a follow-up
Yeah,
personal question. Honestly, like for I've been an engineer all my life, right? I'm trying
yeah,
to understand sales and marketing today. For technical things, I go to ChatGPT because, as you said, right,
yeah,
it helps. It's way faster. It's better. But for anything apart from that, for which I do not have a deep understanding, I usually don't know what to ask.
yeah,
And I usually there is no I still go to Google and I still go to YouTube because I don't have the right questions. What are
yeah.
your thoughts on that? Like how will learning, when we say that kids or children or even say your college students, right? They don't have the right questions. In that
Yeah,
case, how do you think AI is going to help them?
yeah. I think you raise a very interesting point, as in like AI is great when you know what's the question that you want to ask,
Right.
but very often the problem is that you just don't know. Like as in like it takes a certain amount of skill to even know what are the right questions to ask.
Exactly.
Um, I think that is where it's almost like you have to bootstrap yourself with high quality material in that field. Like for example, like if you're trying to learn sales or marketing, like once instead of like bootstrapping yourself or like bootstrapping oneself with a lot of like low quality shallow content, one should like just go back to like the actual resources, like the best books written on marketing on or
Right.
sales, or the best YouTuber who makes content on marketing or sales, so that your mind gets bootstrapped with all of those different like terms, like you understand all of it. um, and then a lot of it is then just about letting your mind be curious. Like the
Correct.
questions, you don't have to go to the questions come to you. But I think yeah, there is that bootstrapping part. Right now AI isn't super great at that bootstrapping part, and I think it's an open problem. Hopefully there are like many startups trying to solve that, or like doing interesting things there. I haven't found something great there, but yes, I think in the interim, like just getting the best source materials to like bootstrap yourself in that field is the best, and then questions just come to you very naturally if you're curious.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a very valid point. You need to bootstrap and then scale using AI, right? You cannot
Yeah,
you cannot start with
yeah,
AI directly because there's not enough work has been done. I think eventually in the next 5 years, maybe we're in a different position, but today for sure you need to know what to ask.
yeah,
So you have the answers 42, but you don't know what's the question, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, very interesting. So there's this something you said on LinkedIn, which caught my attention, and I wanted to question you on that.
yeah,
Where you said that you've spent years watching product reviews and meetings at Meta, where the stakes are high, but the quality of discussion was shallow. And at a
yeah,
company like Meta, known for their rigorous product culture, how does that happen?
yeah. I think it happens because people are too busy. As in, so the way it works is every few months, or maybe even more often, you will whatever you're working on, you will first try to get a roadmap approved, where you will have like directors, like in some cases vice presidents present. But these directors, they have like hundreds of people, or like in some cases like thousands of people working for them for vice presidents, and
Right.
they barely even know like what all is going on within the team. It's just not possible. It's not that they're not great people. They're great people. They're very skilled, but there is a limit to a human mind, as in like you cannot keep all the context in. whereas it's still important to get their approval because they are the ones who will ultimately sign off on giving your team the resources, the engineers, the funding, and all of that. So it's very much like a startup where you need to fund pitch your company to VCs. Like similarly in big companies, you need to fund your projects or fund your or like
Right.
pitch your roadmap to these like people who are higher up. And just like a VC, they're not going to give you like an infinite amount of time. You only have half an hour. You only have in some cases an hour or like a little bit more than that. That's the amount of time you have. And these are not people that you're working with every day. You might have seen them around. They might have know your name, but you don't have that close working relationship with them.
Right.
And in all those situations, it becomes so much more important to talk about your message clearly. And that is something which I was struggling with, where technically my career was like great, as in I had grown to be a pretty successful engineer very, very quickly.
Right.
But some of these other skills around storytelling or being able to tell my own, being able to land my own message, they were not growing as quickly. And then it felt super frustrating that, okay, why do I have to rely on other people who don't understand my story as much, who are not doing the work? Like, why is it that I have to rely on them? Or why is it that just worse ideas are winning? Or why is it that these people are not even discussing the actual ideas or the actual messages? I used to blame them. I used to be like, okay, maybe they're not smart enough. Maybe they don't care enough. Maybe they are like too comfortable in their jobs. But over time, I realized like the problem was like partially with me where I did not have the skills, but also so much with the tools where like so many of these tools like PowerPoint, etc. They like they just suck the joy out of it, as in they
Of
make
course.
that making a deck or make landing a story so hard that you spend all your time designing versus actually thinking about what is the core message that you want to land.
True. Yeah. I think that's a very interesting insight. That even in like when it's not just founders and VCs, right? It's also
Yeah,
you and your managers and wherever wherever you need to convince someone and wherever you need it's not always about the best idea. It's also about the presentation, and that's very difficult to make. Honestly, I think
yeah,
you're this is a very evolved idea, right? Like I think this is something which only if you're in the trenches, if only if you've felt that, then you can start thinking about
yeah.
something like this. But was there an exact moment when you thought that okay, I need to quit my job and then start building this AI presentation tool, or was it something else and then you pivoted? Like, what was your story? How did you reach to this where you are?
Yeah. So when we decided to quit, or like even a little bit before that, I was exploring ideas with my co-founder Krishna, and it was around the same pain point where, but we were trying to explore it differently. The pain point which we felt, both of us had grown fairly senior in our careers fairly quickly, and we realized that okay, to grow from here, no amount of technical skills, no amount of becoming better engineers is going to help in big companies at least, because the problems become a lot more interpersonal. They become a lot more about pitching, about managing conflicts, managing complexity, and like managing human complexity or technical
Right.
complexity. The first idea we had in the space was called Speak Well, where
Mm-hmm.
basically we wanted people to become more effective speakers. So we would listen to you on your meetings like through a meeting bot, and then try to analyze the way you speak. For example, very often I speak very quickly, or like I do tend to get into monologues. I hope I don't get into monologues on this call, but I sometimes do tend to get into
Mm-hmm.
monologues. And the idea is that okay, AI would help me analyze that, give me feedback, and help me improve. So we were always interested
Interesting.
in this like idea of like how do we make meetings more effective? How do we make people more effective communicators? And after we tried Speak Well for a few months, we realized, okay, sure, like we can help people improve their behaviors, but that's hard. But the much bigger opportunity is in the tools themselves. How do you make those tools easier to use so that people can spend time thinking about the message versus like struggling with some other aspects of design?
Interesting. So from trying to optimize yourself, like someone's meeting, you move to optimizing the presentation which they're showing, right? Because
Yeah,
right. So still solving for the same space, I would say, but slightly from a different angle.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
exactly. Yeah, because it's also like in a lot of meetings, it's okay if you're less effective. Like you can speak for longer periods of time yeah, you don't
Right.
always need to be the most effective communicator, and people don't really have the time to improve the way they speak. It's also something which is very hard to change. But I think there are like
Of
some
course.
meetings where the stakes are so high, like when you're pitching a VC or when you're pitching your directors and VPs inside a big company, or when you're trying to land a sales deal or a marketing deal, the stakes are so high, and then there's always a deck or there's always like a written artifact behind that. And then we wanted to focus on just those high stakes meetings when, and like there it felt like the deck is like one crucial artifact where the AI has a huge role to play. If it can help people like nail that artifact, then so much of the problem will get solved. So yeah, very indirect way of getting to it. But I guess like that's the thing with problems and solutions. You don't think, you just start with the problem and then you land somewhere in that idea maze, and
Of
then
course.
you fall in love with that problem, and then everything else is history.
Of course. Yes. So you applied to a Y Combinator as well, and you got
Yeah.
through. That itself is is I would say inspirational story for a lot of people, right? They
Yeah.
dream of doing that. So if you go back, so what was in that application that made them say yes? Because I'm sure they see thousands of AI tools for something applications, right? So what
Yeah.
made Ally different?
Yeah. At that point of time, we were still doing like the older idea, which is around
The
meeting assistant.
right.
It speak well. But there were three things which were good about our application. One, we had a demo which showed that we could build like it was not all just talk. We had an actual demo where like it could listen to your meetings and give you analysis of like, okay, this is your speaking speed, words per minute, these are the number of filler words that you use, etc. So there was
Right.
something visible and tangible out there. Like our vision was backed by something visible and tangible, which proved that okay, this is something, like we are people that who can actually build and not just talk. And in two and three, I think a lot of it was just obsessing over every word on the application. We got a lot of feedback from previous YC founders. Christian and I, like we spent like, I guess over like maybe 10, 15 hours just trying to nail every word in that application. And very often it's like you write a lot and then time goes in just subtracting words,
Yes.
like remove all the
Right.
words which don't mean anything. Like try to like stay to the point as much as possible. And we thought we had a pretty solid application, and then we submitted it. And then we heard back. The first thing we got was a message which said, which practically said that your idea is terrible, uh, but you guys seem interesting. Do you have another idea?
Right.
So that is what we heard back, like when we
Right.
applied, and yeah, that was like interesting.
Wow, that's very interesting. So let's talk about the other idea now. Let's talk about
Yeah,
Alai. You have you're building in I would say a very competitive space, because you have a lot of incumbents. Although
yeah,
they might not be doing the best job in presentations, but still there's a lot, right? Canva
yeah.
has billions in valuation. Then there's Gamma, which is now profitable, growing very fast. There's Beautiful AI. How is Ally different from all of the existing presentation tools?
Yeah. So definitely lots of competition in space. I think with Alai, we obsess on two things: quality and simplicity. And we are not ready to like compromise on any of them. And what we have seen with all the competitors so far is like either they make it too easy. So like for example, Gamma is pretty easy to use, and we think that they definitely nailed that. But very often the quality is super basic. People don't really like the slides they make on Gamma. They just do it because it's quick. And with
Right.
some of these other players like Canva or like Figma slides, there you can get to some amount of like decent quality or like great quality, but it takes too long. You almost need to still have a lot of skills. As you're
Right.
introducing more features, the products are getting more and more complicated. Um, so with Alive, we were like, okay, yeah, like we are trying out these tools. Like we did not necessarily want to work on this problem. We were trying out all these tools, and we were like, okay, let's see how good of a presentations can we make. And but then we were like, okay, is the problem getting solved? No. Does AI feel like an afterthought in every one of these products, partially because they all existed before AI? Answer
Right.
was yes. Like they all are trying to like market themselves with AI, like or bring in AI features, but it was not core to their philosophy or core to their
Correct.
story. And then we were like, okay, if we really rethink about presentations from the ground up, and that AI is going to play a huge role, AI is going to help people craft their message, what should the experience look like, and how do we make it easy without compromising on quality? And then we started coming up with so many different ideas, and we were like, okay, it's clear. Like sure, there are so many players, but they're just scratching the surface. It's going to
Right.
take us a long time to catch up to them. We're still not there. We still have to catch up, but it's going to be worth it because we think if we get it right, we are actually going to solve this problem where people no longer will like fear making a presentation, or they will no longer hate making a presentation. So yes, we accepted that it was competition, that some done some interesting things, but it was just so much to do that we could not stop thinking
Hmm.
about this problem.
Right. It's I've tried a lot of these tools, right, for a
Yeah,
lot of decks here and there, and I've seen two things. Either they'll make something which looks very good, but they'll not think of the content. The
yeah,
content will be very very surface level, as you said, or they'll make something which is very content heavy, but it'll look really bad, right?
yeah,
Uh, and these are like million billion dollar companies, right?
yeah.
To make a presentation, whereas you have video editors which are creating realistic videos. You have image editors, they're saying that image is no longer a proof of anything, it can create hyper realistic images. Why is presentation so hard?
Yes, I think presentations are that hard right now because it's one of those rare areas where you need to combine both AI and humans together. Like, as in, like, without AI, presentations was just so hard because you need so many skills. You need to be very good at writing content. You need to be a great designer. You need to understand all those tools. So, like, without AI, it's anyways super hard because,
Of course.
like, of all the problems that you need that are needed. In cases like video and image editing, what's possible is you just prompt the AI and you get like a 5-second clip, and you're mostly stitching them together, or like you're doing things like that. But the AI is able to generate like the entire frame itself or the entire clip itself. Versus in the case of presentations, every single slide, like even on Alai, every single slide, sure, the AI generates that, but you also want to edit the content. You want to like change various things about it. Sometimes you might have three points in the slide, and you might be, you know what, I need an image or a visual which conveys this point better. Or I might have some numbers, and I might be like, okay, this needs to be converted into a chart. So each of those things, some of those things are best done by AI. Some of those things are still best done humanly. You don't even want to write a prompt. You just want to do it. Like if you want to change the color of a certain text box, you just want to
Right.
like change that manually versus like saying that, okay, can you please convert this text to red? I think it is
Correct.
this interplay between human and AI operations, which is unique to like it. Some other ways have it, but like presentations have it over videos and images, where you
Right.
still need a lot of human input because ultimately it is your story. It is not the AI story. It is your story, and it is iterative. You don't end up with a perfect slide on your first go. AI makes something, then you're like, okay, you know what, this is what feels off, or this is the better way to convey this point. And then you might make these manual changes. Then you might ask AI to make some more changes. So it's like this like dance between you and the AI in order to get that perfect slide. And then that
Right.
dance is very hard to get right. And that's what we are.
Hmm. Very interesting. And it's also counterintuitive, right? Like in a world where
Yeah,
AI is writing all the code, the presentation tools still are very hard to do. But yeah, but when you present it like that, it's very true. It's very hard to actually do that.
yeah,
Um, so there's also a philosophical side to this, as there is with everything in the AI space. So AI presentation tools, they're technically so you said in one of your posts that that there's that in Meta there were people who were just experts in putting that facade of polish on
yeah,
anyone's idea, right? So
yeah,
effectively now you're building that expert which can put a facade of polish to anyone's idea. Now
yeah,
let's say I'm really stupid and I have a idea which is like really bad, and I
yeah,
use one of these tools to make it look like really fancy,
yeah,
right? So is it actually making the problem worse? It's making
yeah,
bad ideas look good.
yeah. So I think uh, in the short term, potentially, in the long term, no. Because it's like right now, the equilibrium is that bad ideas, if people who have bad ideas but good skills to make a presentation, they already like manage to get their bad ideas across. But a lot
Right.
of people who have good ideas, they don't. In the short term, when only some people adopt a lie, then yeah, sure, like people who adopt a lie will get their ideas across hopefully more likely than not. But our vision is that where everyone should present their idea. Like, as in, like, the presentation of an idea or the design of the slide should not get into the way of your idea. So in a world where everyone uses Alai, or like most people use Alai, or like one of our good competitors, like if there are more, then basically it only gets down to the quality of the idea, because the presentation is good for all of them, the design is good for all of them, then all you're really evaluating is whether this idea is better than the other one. And that's the sort of world where we want, where like the best ideas win, the best stories win, and then it's not about the aesthetics of it, or it's not about how much time did you spend aligning your text boxes on PowerPoint. So yes, in the short term, yeah, like with any equilibrium, you might have these short
Of
term
course.
struggles, but in long term, I think we are very aligned with what a better world looks like, where the best idea should win, and like more good things should happen over more bad things just because they look good.
Right, that's a very interesting way to put it, and that if you look down in history, that's what's always happened, right? When there are
Yeah,
early adopters, they sometimes take undue advantage of the technology, and then eventually everyone starts using that technology, and then we advance
yeah,
as a human race,
exactly. It
and
all diffuses ultimately.
yes,
Yeah,
interesting. So, are you ChatGPT, Google, or all of these existing AI tools? They've been trying to capture every
yeah,
smallest market share which is there. So,
yeah.
what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think they'll get into the presentation space, or do you think that's not something which they would care about?
I think they will get into it. We want them to get into it. It's amazing. They're already getting into it. Um, I also feel like this story is not new. It's so like being on the other side, having worked for Meta,
Yeah,
we really
right.
wanted to get into like every single market. Like we like
Of
LinkedIn had a
course,
jobs board. We were like, okay, sure, like we'll have a jobs board as well.
right.
So uh, the big companies, they want to try out everything. They want to capture all the market. They have the resources and the talent to do it. I think it gets down to a lot to focus. Like, are you like
Hmm.
focusing on it um, the most, or like, and it doesn't not even need to be the entire audience, because the presentation making audience is super large. Like they're like founders, marketers, salespeople, consultants, finance. It's such a large audience that we
Right.
feel that one can always like focus on a part of that audience and deliver better outcomes without worrying about big companies.
Hmm.
The other thing which I like to say is, like, regardless of your company size, every company just has 10 smartest people. Like you might have many smart people, but only 10 people are the smartest. So
Right.
like it doesn't really matter, because if your smartest people are working on other things, or they're not working on this thing, then you still have a chance. And that's often what I realized happened at Meta, or that the best people, they would always just work on like many different things. It was very
Right.
hard to get like 10 smart people to work on the same thing, because smart people want to work on different things to own bigger things together.
Of course.
Versus with Live, we have been building a team which is like uniquely focused on just this one problem.
Correct.
Everyone's super smart and everyone's super passionate about it. And I think we have a chance. And it's always like a David versus Goliath battle when you're going up against
Of
big
course.
players. But
Of
I think
course.
focus and like just obsession about this problem is it's going to help us win, versus a company which is trying to do everything. Yeah.
Of course, right. Here, any big company would be solving for presentations like any other product. You will be solving for presentations like your life depends on it, right? And that's that's
Yes. Yes. Like
that's what
yeah.
would eventually
Yes.
make difference. Great.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very insightful. It makes me start using Alai for my next presentation. I think I'll do it right after this
Yeah.
call. I'll
Yeah.
definitely, try it out. And Anmol, for our last couple of questions, what I want from you is we have a lot of different listeners. We have people
Yeah.
in college, college students who are now thinking of either getting into a job or getting into. We have people in jobs who are trying to get into,
Yeah.
FANG as they say it, and then you have people trying to get into YC. So a couple of questions. So let's start with the Y Combinator, right? So for
Yeah.
someone who wants to get into Y Combinator, what should they do?
Yeah, I think there are one of three paths, and you should know which path is best suited for yourself whenever an applicant is applying. So path one is you have to be 20 to 25 years old and be from a top college like Stanford, or like MIT, Harvard, maybe the IITs work, but like you have to be that profile. If you're not that
Right.
profile, then path one is um, out of your comfort zone, or you're not going to get
Right.
through path one. Part two is like, yeah, you need to have a product which is unique. You have some unique insights, and then you have some traction. You are showing some traction for it. Like it could be just one user who really loves your product, or five users who really love your product, but they genuinely love your product. And I like that part a lot because that is like very democratic. Anyone, it doesn't really matter where you went to college or where you went to work. Uh, you can chase for this part, and that's the most true part. It should not be about your credentials. It should be about what is it that you're actually doing. So there is still that option. And then part three is like, yeah, when you just have like you such a specialized expertise, like there are always people in YC who were previously working at like NASA, or like one of those
Right.
aeronautics company like at SpaceX where they were launching rockets, and then they're just exactly suited for that idea. So that might be the case, like as like just because of the life experiences that someone has had, they are the exact right fit for that idea. Um, so those are the three parts. I think people should first be honest about themselves, like, okay, which of the three parts are
Right.
best suited for them, and then try to optimize for that. Because if it's going to be part two, which is the case for most of us, where we don't really have like this one perfect idea that we are best suited for, and we haven't been
Right.
to Stanford, then basically one should just focus on the product, focus on talking to users, try to get any real traction, and try to like again focus on the story of what is the clearest way to tell your story. Because very often a lot of ideas are good, they even have traction, but when they start writing their application, they just lose it. They just start saying too many words. They start using too much AI. Use AI, but as in like, I think that is the other thing which I would tell everyone. Like as in, the
Mm.
job of AI is to improve the quality of everything that we're doing. Its job is to like improve the quality of the presentations we create, the quality of code we write, the quality of like writing we do, everything. Not don't use it
Right.
as a replacement for your own thinking, and to like actually like produce lower quality stuff than what you otherwise would have. Yeah, so that is it. Like I know that's high level, but yeah, just thinking about the right category first and optimizing for that is a good first start.
No, that's. I think that's very valid advice. I think the three path advice is very, very valid,
Yes,
and it is important for people to be honest to themselves and then figure out where to, which path do they come in.
exactly.
Um, uh, Last question for today.
Yeah,
So 5 years from now, what do you want people to remember about what Alai built?
yeah,
What change do you think you want to make?
yeah. 5 years from now, I want no one to ever dread making a presentation again. It should feel like a clarifying.
Okay, guys, I think we've lost Anmol for a second.
Oh,
He should
sorry.
be back anytime soon. Yeah.
Yeah, my headphones just lost charge at the worst
Okay,
possible
no
time.
problem.
But yeah, let me just continue from where I left off.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, 5 years from now, we want people to not dread making a presentation. It should be a clarifying exercise versus a frustrating exercise. And then once that happens, I feel like in the world we'll see a lot more ideas, like the better ideas getting funded, the better projects getting adopted at companies. Um, like the better things happening over just the fancier things happening. So that is what we that is the sort of world that we want to create. We actually want people to spend less time making presentations instead of more time. Like a lot of apps, like even at Meta, like our focus was just how can we make you spend more time
More
doing social
time,
media.
right?
Like we are in the opposite direction. We want you to spend less
Wow,
time making presentations so that
right.
you can do other things. But like that less time should give you better quality. It's not that okay, we don't want you to be going to a competitor where you might end up spending less time, but the quality is going to
Right.
get worse. So how do we give you more time while also increasing the quality of your storytelling artifacts?
Amazing, amazing. Great, Anmol. This has been very insightful and very fascinating. You've shown us that a lot of important problems are not the flashy ones which people see online. They're actually small problems which sometimes a lot of people have accepted as normal,
Yeah,
but identifying that that something is broken, and then and then trying to fix it, that's a very that's the best way to approach a problem, right? First identify, first think, okay, this is not normal, right? Spending 5 hours on a presentation on a deck is not something which anyone enjoys, and
yeah,
yeah, trying to make it enjoyable, and I love the mission of your application. Right, like it is very counterintuitive to anything ever built before. That okay, we want you would be the most successful if all your users are spending 2 minutes on your application.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
it.
Just spend 2 minutes to
So,
get done. Yeah.
amazing. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for for your time on ChaiNet. And for all our listeners, that was Anmol. You can find him building Alai at getalai.com. And if you're making presentations for anything that matters, go try it out. I will for sure.
Yeah.
And once more, thank you, Anmol. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you so much for having me, Rashid.
Thank you.